You have no idea what you've done. You're stuck like this forever.
We'll have this little clap in to, sync everything up.
Okay, got it.
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1.
Might have nailed that perfectly.
Yeah.
That's fun. It's like a little morning exercise.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
It's like gung-ho. They start with the morning exercises before the start of the day. And
Totally. Yeah. It actually just ties into everything everywhere because we did morning exercises every morning.
Oh, really?
Did you really?
Yeah, we did. It was so fun.
Just to get the day started?
Yeah, I think it's like a really good like bonding. I mean, the Daniels are so good at like making everyone feel like a family, and so like every morning they would have somebody lead a morning exercise. So sometimes it was like a breathing exercise, or like Jamie Lee did like a full dance sequence.
Of
like
course.
What is the movie where she's in the aerobics class with John Travolta?
Oh, damn it.
I mean, I can't tell you the name of it, but I can tell you that
but
scene.
You know the
yeah.
scene. So she did that.
Perfect is the name of the film, by the way. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but she did that like dance sequence as a morning exercise. So everyone did that. It was so
That's hilarious.
What the fuck are you doing?
Evelyn, I don't think now is a good time to dance.
But yeah, so you would do these exercise and things even at whatever 5 a.m. when your call time was versus.
They would do it at like crew calls.
Oh,
so
I
I did miss
yeah.
a lot of them because like we were getting people like ready in the morning, but like we did get to join a couple of them, and they did a lot of stuff like that, which was really lovely. Like they gave out weekly awards.
Wow.
To people. Yeah, it was really cool. Like I have a mug that they gave me.
Yeah.
Like to like feature one person that I thought was doing like a really good job that week. So it was really like it was such an amazing experience. It was really lovely.
You see it all, don't you?
I'm the one who's going to defeat you.
Okay. Hit me. Punch my face.
All right, welcome back to the Grindhouse Institute. I'm Brian Foster, and with me as always is Jeremy Floyd. Hello, and how are you?
Well, I'm really excited about today.
Same.
We didn't have to watch any movies for today. We're
That's
just
true.
Chitting and chatting. So
Yeah, I almost feel like I'm well rested, ready to talk about a movie we've already talked about, so we kind of already have a start on. We recently spoke about this movie, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, on our Midnight Movie. Today we'll be talking about it again, but luckily we have someone with us who had a hand in bringing this amazing film to life. Jeremy, could you please do the introduction?
Yeah, so we're excited to have another conversation about Everything Everywhere All at Once. One wasn't enough, but this time we're going to get a slightly different perspective. It's going to be one from someone who was in the trenches, someone who helped bring it all to life. And as head of the makeup department, it was someone whose work really shined in this movie. Please welcome Michelle Chung.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hi.
Thank you for having me. This is so fun.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
I love talking about this movie. So
Yeah.
So do we.
Perfect.
I don't think that any of us that were on the show when we were talking about it this last time had anything bad to say. I'm trying to.
I did listen to the podcast. I was like, let me listen
Perfect.
to it. See what
Yeah. Let me see if I actually want to talk to these idiots. Yeah.
Right.
Now, the movie is so beautiful and so wonderful, and it's all happening in camera, and I think that was something that we really appreciated about it.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy that you're here to tell us about what that was like to bring all that to life.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'd like to know a little bit more about you to start with, if you could. I mean, I was doing a little bit of research about obviously just IMDb. I'm not that big of a researcher. But I'd love to know about your background coming up. I mean, it looked like you did a lot of horror films. You have a What We Do in the Shadows t-shirt on.
I do.
Yeah. Some of them specifically was The Bad Batch we had Anna Lily Amopor's when a girl walks home alone at night. We talked about that.
Good.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I haven't seen The Bad Batch yet, so that's on the list. But
Which,
what a
by
cast.
the way, that Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, real quick, I was at the Academy Museum a week or two ago, and they have her sort of chador and skateboard
And the skateboard?
little costume up there.
Oh, that's cool.
In the
that museum's so cool.
row of costumes. Yeah, exactly.
I haven't been to that museum yet. Is it just you kind of just buy admission and can go anytime, or do you need to really set up an appointment? Or
I don't know. They want you to, I think, to buy tickets ahead of time, but
Yeah.
they also were directing people to go buy them when you walked in the door.
They'll take your money.
Yeah.
Let's-
Yeah. Yeah.
They monetize properly. So yeah, I mean things like Adam Green's Hatchet, which
Oh my God, that was so long ago.
I love Adam Green. I think he's a really interesting horror director. And then obviously Rob Zombie, who holds a special place in my heart.
Yeah. Me
But
too.
yeah, I'd love to hear some of your career highlights or how you came up through this business.
Gosh, yeah. Well, I grew up in LA. So,
Oh.
but you know what? I never thought about the film industry actually. I went to art high school. I was always like creative. So I went to an arts high school. I went to UCLA and studied fine art. And then I graduated and was like, oh, now I need a real job.
Yeah.
Like, I have no skill set at all besides like bullshitting my way through art school.
Bullshit is an art.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Actually, it does come in handy sometimes.
Yeah.
And then I kind of just bummed around for a while, and then somebody was like, "You should check out this makeup school. It's really interesting." I didn't know anything about makeup at all. I knew nothing. And then just went to makeup school and kind of just like fell in love with it. And then
Was it a movie focused makeup school or was it
not
just
necessarily. It's just, I did the whole program. So I studied beauty, character, effects, makeup. So, and then I really thought that I was going to go into effects makeup. And the first
Cool.
couple years out of school, I've worked in a couple special effects shops. And then I realized I was deathly allergic to everything. So yeah, so I broke out in hives one day, just like
Oh,
at
that's
work,
terrible.
and I got sent home. Yeah, and kind of had to like refocus a little bit, which I'm really happy about because I love being on set. I think a lot more than I think it suits me better. And then kind of just like fell
But even
into-
doing it with like gloves and stuff,
yeah,
it was
it's
still
just
not.
I have a lot of allergies. I'm
I
just a
see.
sensitive person.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Oh.
I guess I could still if I like wore a respirator all the time and like gloves and everything, but I just like I'm not
I
that kind
see.
of person.
Can't get
Yeah.
suited
It's,
up
like,
for
too much
work?
work
For
me.
That's too much work to go to work. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then I kind of just like fell into film and TV. And then realized like how much I love it. I love collaborating with people. Like I love being around people and like working together towards a common goal. And it just like really suited me. So
So any fun
Yeah.
collaborations you've had over like that kind of stick out in your mind?
I mean, so many.
yeah.
I mean, you've mentioned like Rob Zombie is like I love him so much just as a person and as a like he's so creative and like interesting and has such a vision. I like working with people that really have a vision.
The guy's great at music. He makes movies. He's a great artist, like pen and paper artist.
He's like a huge film buff. Like he knows so much about movies. Like I don't.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up like I mean, like obviously like everyone watches movies growing up, but I wasn't like one of those people that was like knew
Studying
a lot.
and-
Yeah.
yeah.
Or even like thought about it as like, I never thought about it as a career or anything growing up. So
Yeah.
but he just like he knows so much and like I had such a great time working with him.
Those encyclopedias of movies are usually great directors because they can see, or they've seen it done, or they've seen how it could be done well or not well, and they can kind of
Totally.
put that together on their own. I mean, Tarantino's obviously one of those as well,
Right,
and
yeah.
Scorsese, right? They're
Yeah.
just film buffs in their own
and
right.
I think he really appreciates everyone's like he really like I think when he trusts you, he really trusts you and like lets you kind of like do what you want to do, which
Sure, that helps your
like,
morale
I
too.
love.
That
I'm
makes
like,
you
"Just
want to
let me do
work
what I
harder
want."
too, right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so yeah, working with him was really lovely. I mean, he's
So I could assume that the Daniels also were a bit of film buffs themselves, right? Based on seeing this movie.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they just love everything about movies, like the process. Like they really do love the process of movie making, which I think is really like important and lovely to work with people that like actually like being around people and like collaborating. They're such collaborators.
Yeah.
Like I think it's so fun watching them win all these awards because like in their speeches they're like that's really who they are. They're so genuine and like they really care about everyone. Like the fact that they put their PAs first in the credits is like
Wow,
that's-
I didn't notice that.
yeah. So if you
Wow.
watch the credits of Everything Everywhere, the PAs are listed first, which is like so awesome.
That's
And
incredible.
yeah, and they really make you feel like you're important. like, I mean, we are like crew members are important, but
Totally.
like you
Hell
kind of
yeah.
forget that sometimes, especially like because I do a lot of like network TV as well and like and big studio things and sometimes you kind of get lost in everything and they are really
Right.
like they really make sure to make you feel like you're part of the whole process, which is wonderful.
That's awesome.
So I mean, you've gone from digital too. Like you've done like the Guild. Like I looked way back. Like I used to work for Geek and Sundry and Nerdist and them. So
Fun. Yeah, the Guild
Felicia
was
Day
such
and-
a fun
yeah.
show. Felicia Day is amazing. Yeah,
and
so
Will
fun.
Wheaton and like those like
Yeah, it's
coming
so
from
great. Gosh,
growing
that
up a
was-
nerd on Star Trek. Like that was the best. Yeah.
That was so long
Stand
ago.
By Me.
That was like the
Stand By
beginning
Me,
of my
yeah.
career. Yeah.
Really? That was like the start of it, huh?
That was like very early on. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
You've had some really interesting projects that hit all mediums.
I have. You know what? I've been really lucky with my career. Like, I've just fallen into a lot of things that I've worked with really wonderful people. So I've been really lucky for sure.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the horror thing real quick. Now, you said you weren't doing the special effects makeup. Now, is that when you're doing things like for Rob Zombie? Is that just like the beauty makeup, or is like are you doing like blood out of the nose?
I do a little
and
bit of both. So
that kind of thing?
Rob has an effects guy, Wayne Toth, who's amazing,
Mhm.
who he's been working with for like probably like 30 years now. I
Did the
think Wayne was
Halloween
making-
movies.
Yeah, and Wayne made like props for Rob's like shows like forever. So they've known each other forever. So he does all the big stuff, all the like big effect stuff, and then I take care of like some of the smaller like cuts and bruises and blood, like some of that stuff.
That's
and
the
then
fun stuff, though.
Yeah,
The little bruises,
for
yeah.
sure. And then like Sherry's injuries, I usually just take care of because I do her makeup anyway, so it's easier.
Yeah.
Wayne's such like a he actually owns I don't know if you know Halloween Town. It's like a Halloween store in Burbank.
Yeah.
He owns that store.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's like
That's
super
crazy.
into like, all of that
Yeah.
stuff, Halloween and all that
Sign me up.
Yeah.
So I mean I still do it a little bit of effects, like small prosthetics and stuff, but I'm definitely not like I wouldn't label myself an effects artist in any way. But
Mhm.
I do it's fun to do little things here and there when I can.
But
Yeah.
it felt like a lot of the makeup, especially for Jobu in this movie, was not really made for special effects. It was made for just beauty and paint.
Yeah.
Like the Clockwork Orange reference one. I'm assuming it's a Clockwork Orange reference.
Kind of. I mean, I pulled
yeah.
from like so many things. It was crazy because we didn't really know how many looks, like they would kind of, like we knew certain established looks that were gonna happen, but then they sometimes would be like, can we like do something a little different here, or like, and we just like had kind of like a stockpile of like ideas in case like they were like, can we do something different in this, like can she, what about this, like they would
Mhm.
it was a lot of like, let's throw a little thing in, or like
Did you
let's
keep that
add
like in a
this.
lookbook or something that you could kind of
So
reference?
I
Okay.
just had like a stockpile of images, and then I would kind of make mood boards. So like when I knew there was an outfit coming, like we would get fitting photos from Shirley, the costume designer, who was so amazing. She would like send us pictures of like looks that she was thinking about, and so we'd get like a costume. So we would get like the temple costume, and then actually for that one she was like, I'm putting pearls all over, do you want to put pearls on her face? And I was like, oh yeah. And so I'd have like a bunch
That was
of
beautiful
ideas.
makeup. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, just a bunch of ideas, and then like literally it was like usually the morning of, we did one camera test at the very beginning of the shoot. We tested the normal looks, and then I think we did one Jobu look. What did we do? Oh, the Elvis look. So that was the
okay.
only makeup that we tested, and that actually changed from the camera test just a little bit. But everything else was done on the day. I just had some mood boards, and I would show the Daniels, and they'd be like, we like this, we don't like this. And then I would kind of just like piece it together in my mind. And then the morning of, I would just do something, which is kind of crazy. Like
Right,
looking
I mean-
back, I'm like, God, that's insane. What were you thinking?
What if they needed a change? It was like, well, I guess we have to deal with it.
Yeah, no, I mean, luckily, like
High
they
risk, high
liked
reward.
everything
Yeah.
that I did.
No,
Like-
that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was kind of crazy looking back. I mean, we shot that whole movie in 8 weeks. So
Wow, yeah.
it was like, it was a mad rush.
I didn't
mean, it
know
was
that.
yeah, 8 weeks. So it was fast. It was fast and furious.
Well,
I'll
and
bet.
also, like we were talking about a little bit yesterday, you guys were shooting it right up to the edge of the pandemic there, right?
So
It was
we
like
shot,
February and March,
yes, we
2020.
shut down. We had one more day of shooting technically. We had a green screen day that we were supposed to
Mhm.
shoot that Monday. And then we shot Friday. It's very distinct in my memory. Friday night, we had a night shoot and it was raining and we were shooting that Wong Kar-wai
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
alleyway. That was our
Yeah.
last night of shooting, was in that alleyway, and it was raining.
That's
And
crazy. Yeah. I remember it was raining at that time. Yeah.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
raining. It was a night shoot. I think we wrapped at like 7 in the morning on Saturday morning. I remember because I had posted something on Instagram, and somebody messaged me and was like, "How are you still shooting? Like everything
Yeah.
shut down." And I was like, "I don't know." It was crazy, and we had all these extras, and I had additional makeup people there, and I was like, "Don't touch anybody. Like you're
Yeah.
fine. Just hide. Like
Yeah.
go sit in the trailer. Like don't touch
I was
anybody."
talking about that the other day. It's like because everyone had seen Contagion, they thought
Mhm.
everything was gonna be like there was surfaces because like that whole movie
Right.
is all about like surfaces and whatever. And like the
Yeah.
first whatever it was, the first week or two, it was like, oh no, it's surfaces, and like everyone was like not touching things,
I
and
know, and like cleaning
Yeah.
everything. It's so crazy looking back on it now.
yeah,
Yeah.
So that was 3
so
years ago then when you guys completed the shoot.
2020, March
Wow.
2020. And so it was so crazy because we were like, we're shutting down, like, and the rumor at that point was like everything's shutting down for 2 weeks and then we'll come back. And
Yeah.
so it was like,
Right.
we have one green screen day left. And then they were like talking about possibly like, maybe we'll come back on Monday and just shoot it really quick. And then it was like, no, we're like completely shutting down. And yeah.
wow.
But like luckily we got almost everything. I mean, they did do
So that day
some-
never got shot then? That green
they
screen
did
day?
do some reshoots and some green screen stuff like during the pandemic. Like I think they shot like the rocks, like the monkey stuff during the pandemic, and then some green screen stuff, and they did have a couple of pickup days that I couldn't do.
But like super closed
later
set time type shoots, right? Where
yeah,
they can
totally. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, but we got the most of it done right before everything shut down. So
Yeah, well, and as we were talking about, like it's wild that was like essentially the last day of actual production.
yeah.
Was one of the most memorable scenes.
I know.
Or at least one of the scenes that people really
Pivotal, yeah.
respond to.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And was that downtown?
That was downtown, yeah. We shot in the we were downtown for like a couple days. We shot in the Los Angeles Theater, which is that gorgeous
Oh, okay,
like
yeah.
movie star like that big, staircase.
Yeah.
And then what else was there? Oh, the Hot Dog Fingers like music video that plays on the television in the laundromat with
Oh,
like,
yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah,
that was shot
it was
in
like the
there.
Bollywood type.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the church or whatever where the bagel was downtown
that was
too.
downtown, yeah.
Because a friend of mine got married there a
Yeah,
couple
it's a
years before you
marriage.
guys.
My
Really?
sister actually looked at that place.
Yeah.
It's called
Yeah.
Viviana or something.
Yeah,
my
yeah.
sister looked
Yeah.
at it as it's a big wedding venue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you
Crazy.
request the bagel now after this
Yeah.
movie to be floating behind you?
Right.
So you brought up the sausage fingers, which I thought was a really funny gag in the movie. But I think that, something we brought up on the show recently was how Jamie Lee Curtis's look really, Jeremy didn't even recognize her as
I know,
Jamie Lee
it's
Curtis.
so
Oh, yeah.
funny. I can't remember who I was talking to, but we were talking about the movie and I was like, yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis. And the person I was talking to was like, Jamie Lee Curtis was in the movie? And I was like, yeah, she was Deirdre. And they were like, wait, what? Which is so crazy. Jamie was like, so Shirley our costume designer, had found the stock photo of this tax person. I think Jamie Lee Curtis has posted a picture of
Yeah, I
that
was going to say
stock
that's a true
photo.
story then. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and she had found it and kind of like had pulled those like a similar wardrobe, and Jamie was like, I want to be that person and
Wow.
had like she had
What a
such
sport.
specific ideas about her character. It was so cool though, because she's so collaborative and like she also like loves just like movie making and like being on set. Like she would never go back to her room. She always sat on set. Like she wanted to
Really?
just be
Wow.
there, which is so cool. But she came in and was like had a very specific idea of like who she wanted to be. Like she had backstory. It was so cool. Like, you know, she had these like very manicured nails. She had red nail polish. I don't know if you guys noticed. She had like this bright red nail polish, and her whole story was that, you know, she was this lonely IRS agent, but her nail person was like, she thought her nail person was her friend. So she would go get her nails done
All the time.
That's
She always had,
so
like,
specific and awesome.
I know. It was so cool. She had like such specific ideas. So she always wanted like these perfect red nails. And then everything else was kind of like a mess. Like she wanted it to look like she had done her makeup herself, like, you know, just like took concealer and like smeared it on her eyes. It was the wrong color that someone had sold
Now,
her.
is that hard for you to do? Like, do makeup badly or whatever? Yeah.
You know, I'm so character driven. I think it's like for me, I like love things like that. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's just like it,
Well,
you know,
because it reminds me of like, okay, like, you know how sometimes in movies, you know, Robert De Niro or something will be acting like he can't act.
yeah,
And it's one of those things where it's
right.
like, it's kind of hard to do. Like, you know, it's like painters who do that sort of style where it looks like a 5-year-old did it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
also hard to do
Yeah.
once you like learn that like really well done brush stroke. It's like hard to then
Right.
go
Like,
back
how
to
do you,
the sloppy hand. I mean,
Yeah,
do you find that same
I
kind of
didn't
challenge?
so Aaron, my key, actually did Jamie's makeup.
Mhm.
And Jamie, like, you know, I think she was very like, she had a lot to say, which is great. Like, I love that. Like
I see.
you know, she had very specific ideas of like her character. So, but Erin did such a good job with her makeup just because, you know, she really wanted to kind of look a mess, really. And
Yeah.
have the only thing that was good about her was her nails because you know, she went to go see her nail tech every 2 weeks because she's their friends, you
Yeah.
know. But it's so
Well,
I
now
love
that you're talking
that.
about it, the nails like do kind of stand out in my mind, but it's the scene where she's playing it with her feet, playing the piano with her feet.
Oh,
Her-
right,
her
yeah.
nail polish there.
Right,
Yeah.
red nail
He
polish.
painted
yeah.
nail polish on the. So Jason Hamer is their effects guy. He did Swiss Army
Yeah.
Man with them, and he made those hot dog hands. But he was
Yeah.
like, we were like, let's paint like red nails on the hot dog fingers because they're so specific, you know.
Yeah.
So those were practical? That wasn't
They're
a
practical,
computer?
yeah. They were pull-on gloves.
Wow, they're so
It's
seamless.
like dish cleaning gloves. Yeah.
Yeah, like
yeah. No, so they did
What a great effect.
hand casts of their hands, so they were fit to their hands. But
That's awesome.
yeah, they were silicone pull-on gloves, and Jason Hamer was so amazing. He also did the Rakakuni. He made
Yeah.
the pinky, that, you know, the muscular pinky.
Yes. I love
He
the
made
pinky.
that. Yeah, he did such a good job.
But we were talking
So-
about that before, and Jeremy said that they built a giant
They
version
did.
of that.
It's a giant hand, and yeah, I mean, I think
I'd love to see
Daniels
that.
really like to do things practically because it just helps everyone kind of, you know, even with their stunts with a lot of the gags, like, you know,
Mhm.
they tried to do as much, I think, practically as they could. I think it just helps everyone like to see it.
It helps you
know,
react
Yeah.
properly, right? And
Yeah.
to respond, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's so fun to see on set too.
So I mean, you're talking about this. You're the special effects person who
Mhm.
really was one person and not a big special effects overall team, VFX
Yeah.
team to do that
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
But the amount of effort that you guys must have put in, even for these like the medium shots of Evelyn as she's careening through all the universes at once. Some of them had her being a monster, and some of them an
So
alien.
I
and
think
other.
a lot of those are VFX, and then we did like, I think the hair.
Yeah, I was about to ask, did you have to do 10,000 looks for those
Right.
like
Did- I
two
think
frames of her
on-
face? Yeah.
They got a lot of them as we were shooting.
Uh-huh.
So like a lot of like the flashback stuff, they would get a quick shot of her, and they had this
Smart.
crazy triangle of light, I called it. It was just like 3 lights
Uh-huh.
that kind of like change color, and it gives that
Oh,
weird
okay,
like
yeah.
effect of like her face changing,
like rotating around colors wise.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
and it was so cool. I mean, everyone's so talented on the movie.
I love
It was
lighting
so-
effects.
yeah, it's so cool.
But yeah,
and
Jeremy brought it up. Like some of your work was on for a frame in that movie, you know,
Yeah.
a 2.5 hour long movie, and you got it for. I mean, to put that much effort into something, you should be pretty, I guess, open to having your art only being on for a split second.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I think we did like 40 looks on Michelle.
40?
And yeah, and then like I think I 20 something on Stephanie altogether. So
Yeah.
just like yeah,
I mean, the
crazy.
work with Stephanie was incredible. I mean, I really enjoyed even the hair that spelled out her name
Her name,
across her
yeah,
forehead.
so
Like,
cool, right?
so
I know.
interesting.
It was so fun. You don't get to do that often on movies, and so
Hopefully,
and
since
they
this movie's getting so much
I
buzz, you get to
know,
do more of
right?
this
I
fun
hope
stuff. Yeah.
so. It'd be so cool. It was just so fun to just like go kind of crazy and really and I think all of us were kind of just like winging it, really. I mean, it was so
That's
fast
crazy. Yeah, that's
paced.
awesome.
Like we filmed so quickly that it was just kind of like go, like just do
Yeah.
it, you know?
Doesn't seem like that though at all in the finished product. It seems like such a polished movie and so contained, even though it's literally taking place in an unlimited amount of universes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really credit to the Daniels because, like, there were a lot of times that, like, I mean, always we were all confused all the time. Like, I remember Jamie Lee would come in every day into the makeup room and she would say, "You guys, what is this movie about? Can someone tell me what this movie?" And every day, like, one of us would like take a stab at it, you know? And we'd be like, "Well, it's a movie about a family and it's about a mom and a daughter." And she'd be like, "But really, what is this movie?" But like the Daniels really had it in their head. So like there were a lot of times that like continuity wise, I was like, "I don't think this matches," and they were like, "It doesn't matter."
Yeah.
They were like, "This is never going to cut next to this." Like they had it
Yeah.
all in their head. They would be like, "This is never going to cut next to this, so it's okay. Like
That's
it's
awesome.
fine.
Yeah.
Like don't worry about it."
I mean, and that's great, I guess, for you guys, as long as you're sort of trusting
Yeah.
their
yeah.
process. You know what I
I
mean?
think
Yeah.
the trust level on this movie was very high. We all kind of just trusted that everyone knew what we were doing. I mean,
Yeah.
the good thing is like a lot of those people had worked together. I mean, the Daniels have worked with some of those people for years.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think their DP Larkin, I think they went to school together.
Oh,
Like
cool.
they've known each other forever. And like a lot of the crew was from Swiss Army Man. So they've all kind of like worked together and know how each other work. So it's really lovely. I coming into this film, like this is my first time working with any of them, really, besides the hair department head. That's how I got in, was the hair department head, Anissa, and I had worked together, God, like 10 years ago. We had worked on at Halloween Horror Nights together.
Nice.
She was doing
Wow.
wig work and I was making masks for Halloween
Oh,
Horror
wow.
Nights.
Wow, that's
So
awesome.
so we've known each other forever. So she brought me in on the project, and they kind of really just welcomed me in, and really just, I think they just really trust everyone to do their job correctly, and
That's
everyone
wild.
was so
Yeah.
collaborative.
It's wild that they had that amount of trust for not knowing you and
Not
whatever. Yeah.
knowing me was
Yeah.
kind of crazy that like I
Yeah.
didn't do any camera tests and I was kind of like,
Yeah.
"I'm gonna do this," and they were like, "Great." And I
Go
was
for
like,
it. Yeah.
"Okay."
Oh, that's
Which
great.
is, yeah, it is crazy. Like now thinking back, I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, they really trusted me not knowing who I was
Yeah.
at all, or my skill level, or like,
Yeah.
not seeing anything that I could do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but maybe, I mean, Anissa like let them know, or I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
Maybe there's
sure.
Good
something
word of
like
mouth
that.
is
Yeah.
great, right? That helps.
Yeah, no,
Good references.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
Now, can you talk through the process of how you got Michelle Yeoh to look so de-glammed
oh my
and like kind of
gosh.
ruddy and
Yeah. I
sweaty
know, she's
look
so
that she
beautiful,
had?
and it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
so terrifying. Like her manager was like every day was like, "She looks like shit." I'm like, I know. I'm like, it's supposed to be like that.
No, this is the assignment. You don't understand.
You know what's crazy? When I talked to the Daniels at the very beginning, they reference Monster actually
Oh,
as
wow.
one
Yeah.
of their
Charlize?
yeah, like they really wanted her to. I mean, because in the script, she's supposed to be the worst version of herself.
Right.
Like in this universe,
Okay.
she is the worst version. She's like she's failed at everything in life.
Mhm.
And so it was really like just making sure that she like looked tired and like worn down and like as a believable person, really. In the end,
Right.
it was really just like, you want to believe that everyone knows Michelle Yeoh. Like I grew up watching her, and she's so beautiful, and she always plays such like a polished,
Right.
beautiful person.
Polished,
and, like,
yeah.
yeah, in everything. So it's really just stripping her down and like kind of like adding, like we always like made sure her lips look kind of like dry. Like she just like, she doesn't even have time to drink water. And like,
Smart.
and at the beginning it was a lot of like, they wanted to like, age her, but then Key looked so young. Like there was a concern with like the age, so it was really just more like not aging her, but like wearing her down. So,
Right.
like giving her like, we did like a little bit of like broken capillaries around her nose and like a little darkness under her eyes, and just like not giving her any makeup really. Like
What
taking
what a
everything
challenge
off.
to try to balance being additive while taking away in the final product,
Totally.
like
Yes. And also just terrifying because like this
Yeah.
is my first time working with Michelle, and like I don't know her, and I know she always looks so beautiful, and I'm like, okay, so now I'm gonna make you look like shit. I'm sorry.
Don't worry, there'll be one scene where you look great.
Yeah, no. Oh my god, movie star day was the best because her manager was like, "This is what she looks like," and I'm like, "Yes, I know."
And I love that part in the movie where she's like, "No, I want to go back to that world."
yeah, exactly. No, but she was such. I mean, they all were such good sports about everything.
Yeah.
They really like wanted to get into the characters. Like with Key, like he was like, we didn't really put any makeup on him, barely. Just because like we want, it was really selling that like they are a real family, they're real people, like making it feel as like realistic as possible. Was like
Right, which helps ground it for when it
for
flies
when it
off the
goes
rails.
crazy.
Yeah.
100%. So yeah, but they were, again, like everyone was so trusting, and I think it must be the Daniels, like that they set the mood for everybody.
Again,
It's really like
the good stuff also rolls downhill, right? So yeah,
totally. But it was like, I'm like, why do they trust us? Like looking back, I'm like, God, that was so crazy. Like what a weird experience.
Yeah.
Like they really just, everyone just kind of trusted each other that we were all doing, what was the best for the movie.
That's awesome. I mean, and for Michelle Yeoh's part, I mean, she had to take a lot of trust, like you said, like her manager too, being upset with everybody, how unglamorous she's looking.
This is a 30-year international star, 30-year veteran international star, and right, that's got to be a lot of pressure on you.
Yeah, well, it's so funny because everyone like now, that everyone talks about Jobu Tubaki's makeup, and like there's been like Halloween costumes and all this stuff, and I'm like, the hardest makeup for me was definitely Michelle.
Really?
Just making her look like a believable, like this could be anybody's mom. Like this could be somebody's mom. Like,
well, and what's great too is like just the way the looks turned out was, I don't know, it's kind of so reflective of the character. I mean, like it sounds like, obviously you guys put a lot of thought into it. Okay, her lips are cracked, she wasn't drinking a lot of water, but it's like, she and her character, took on so much of this, absorbed more pressure than she probably needed to, with and put that upon herself, and so that it kind of shows up in her look. And Key's character, he was still freewheeling and whatever, even in this world, and you could see how sort of jubilant and whatever he was, but like in his look, it kind of had that too. It's just that he had this like kind of little boy haircut type of thing,
he's
versus
so, like boyish, for sure.
Like when you see him in the Wong Kar-wai, and he's got the Tony
so
long hair and
nice part,
I know.
but it's like, but but reflected in his outlook on life was his sort of look in the real world. And then same with the Michelle Yeoh character, and her sort of like, I have to lift and do everything because my silly husband is not going to do this and do that and
like
whatever.
She's carrying the weight of the world.
Even though he was the one keeping them afloat the whole time.
I know, right?
Keeping the IRS off their back.
Yeah.
This is the way I fight.
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean,
it's wonderful.
We cried on set. I mean,
really?
when he gave his speech, it's in that big atrium, and he's giving his speech about kindness, and we just have to be kind to each other. And I remember looking up, and I was sitting across the way from Anissa, the hair department head, and we both had tears in our eyes, and we just like locked eyes, and it was like, oh my God. And then after, we were like, God, that was so good. Like,
Yeah.
was so-
Hopefully
I
that
mean-
translates to film, right? It's like it's one of those
I mean,
moments.
you just
Yeah.
never know, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, none of us knew when I don't
Sure.
think any of us really knew when we were making the movie. Like, I mean, we knew it was special, but like,
I was going to say moments like that, seeing that live, you're
For
probably like, okay,
sure.
there is going to be something here, right? There's
Oh, 100%. And I remember like maybe like halfway through filming, they had cut together that fanny pack fight scene, because that was one of the first fight sequences we did.
Oh,
And
cool.
they did a rough edit and showed it at lunch. And like,
Wow.
we were all tired, you know, like we've been working crazy hours, and we're like, and they showed that. And I feel like after that lunch, like everyone was like, yes.
Everyone got a
Like,
boost.
let's
yeah.
do it.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
everybody was like so, and I remember looking at Daniel Kwan, he was like, and I was like, that was so cool. He was like, ugh, I want to throw up. He was like, you know.
'Cause
And
it
I
wasn't
think-
what he wanted. Type of
no,
thing. It
because
wasn't
you know,
there.
it's such a rough cut, and the sound's not in it.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
And,
No,
and
yeah.
it's so funny because everyone
I'm
else
so
was
embarrassed
like,
to show this, yeah.
yeah, and everyone else was so excited. I think
Yeah,
we were
yeah.
all just like, it cut together so well, and it was just
Yeah.
like, we were all so like invigorated, I think, to keep going, and just like we knew that like it was really fun and so cool.
Yeah. No, like
Yeah.
doing those little things for a crew, it's great in a way, because you know they have no idea. You know, like you guys are just in the trenches all day, and
Yeah.
you kind of don't know what it's going to be coming together, and like
Totally. Yeah.
and kind of seeing it put together, like, oh, okay, I see what we're working on, and you know you can kind of believe in it or whatever. But like
yeah.
it is then, you know, the directors are like, no, but the sound will be different. There'll be this, so
Right.
the timing will be, it'll be funnier.
They're like,
and,
it's
you
gonna
know.
be so much better, we
Yeah.
promise. And we were all like, this is so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
awesome.
it was that day was really fun, because I think we were all like, oh my God, this is exciting. Like, we're making a movie. And, like,
Yeah.
and just seeing it all cut together. Well, it's also such a crazy movie. You know,
Yeah.
like there's so many pieces, and like you just don't know. And so
No,
seeing
totally.
it cut
I could imagine
together-
at every stage, like script, being on set, you know,
Yeah.
even in rough cut stages, you're like, this is not going to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, what
you know,
is this?
because like the music makes such a huge difference too. Like the
Yeah,
very like
100%.
off kilter, bizarre music that's a part of it, but
Yeah.
it's like so moving, and like, you know, all those
Yeah.
things, like you know, the silliness of the Joy's you know, or maybe it's Jobu's
Yeah.
bagel speech,
Yeah.
and you know, but then just her performance of like how like dead she looks, you know, it's like you know, it's like it's balancing this crazy.
Totally. I mean, it definitely felt like we were shooting like, you know, 20 different movies.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, the parking lot
And you're like, how is that going
scene-
to come together? Yeah.
Yeah, well, because like the parking lot scene when towards the end, in the parking lot of the laundromat, and Joyce,
yeah.
you know, and it's such a moving, like, and it felt like such an indie film, like watching
Yes.
it, like, you know, there's so much camera movement, and like it's just, you know, and it felt so different than all of the rest of it, and Stephanie is like so her face is so expressive, like when she cries, like I want to cry,
Yeah.
you know, and so watching that scene, and then like thinking of like everything else that we've shot, it's, you know, for a second you're like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, what is this?
I'm glad Stephanie Shu's in a big movie now, because I loved her in Ms. Maisel. I
Oh,
thought she
yeah.
was probably one of the best
mean,
characters in that in the show.
She's so amazing. And also like my makeup's like without her expressive face, like it wouldn't be the same. Like her face
That's
is so-
interesting.
yeah. I just feel like she sold the makeup so well. And that's so important too. It's like, it's hard when like, you know, it doesn't match, but she
Right.
did such a, like, she's so, I mean, she's a force. Like she's,
Is she being recognized?
yeah,
Or
so she won, I think she won last night at,
excellent.
SAG
yeah,
Awards?
at the
Or,
Spirit Awards.
Spirit Awards?
And then I know like SAG, they won ensemble, but
Right.
yeah, it's just so hard because like everyone's so good in that movie.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's, you know,
Well,
like,
and also
there's
she's
nobody
she's
bad.
unfortunately losing to Jamie Lee, right? Because
I
they're both
know, which is-
supporting.
Yeah,
yeah.
supporting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's so hard because it's like everyone's so good. You want to like give everyone
Yeah.
something. It's,
Well,
yeah.
and speaking of that, you know, just wanted to express my condolences that the Academy screwed it up again and didn't nominate you, and you definitely deserve to be up there.
Prosthetics always wins.
Yeah, that's
unfortunately.
Right.
Wow,
Well, thank you. No, I mean, listen, to just like to be, we were shocked when we were even like on people's lists of like possibilities. That in itself is already, kind of amazing.
Well, let's for me, let me rewind the tape a little further back. So I as I kind of mentioned on the last episode here, like, I came to the movie through word of mouth. A friend of mine, Tiffany Lum, she worked on the Wednesday show.
Oh, cool.
But anyway, she we were having lunch and she was like, "Oh, have you seen Everything Everywhere All at Once?" I was like, "No, I heard the name. I knew Michelle Yeoh was in it." And she's like, "Well, I don't want to tell you anything about it. Just go watch it."
Yeah.
And then like the very next day, Alyssa and I were having dinner with mutual friends of ours, Matt and Kyle, known as Hazard. And they were like, "Oh, have you seen Everything Everywhere All at Once?" I was like, I keep getting asked this question. Not yet, yeah. But they're like, "Oh yeah, remember Michelle? She did all the work on it or whatever." And like, and they were talking. I remember talking about it that night, and that this is the movie had been out for maybe a week, less, and it already was having awards buzz.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like the word of mouth was so insane because I went to South by Southwest because it premiered at South by.
Oh, cool.
And I went because I was like, I just want to go and it never, like, it was so cool because like we went and there was so much buzz because it opened the film festival, so obviously like people were talking about it. And then I came home and like I heard people kind of talking about it and it just never stopped. Like I was like, oh, because South by was in March and then it was like it just kept going.
And for you it had to be kind of weird because it was like, oh, this movie I did literally 2 years before.
People started asking me about it and I was like, I mean, I've done like 6 projects since then. Like what? But it was so cool because it was so much word of mouth and just momentum and like people seeing it like 4 or 5 times, which is so insane. So it was just like, and then just it was like it just kept going and going and it just like people never stopped talking about it, which was so exciting. I mean, it's like so exciting. I'm just so happy for everyone because everyone worked so hard and like everyone did production design, sound design, like everything across the board, like it's
it has to be such a relief because almost everything people work on in production and whatever, it's like just it's a huge slog. It's really, really hard and everyone works like insane, and especially like an indie or a smaller film like this where it's like a tight schedule. But it has to be extra gratifying when all that hard work kind of pays off and it's like all up there on the screen type of thing.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, this is like I'm always saying I'm like I don't think I'll ever have another experience like that. Like it's just like I mean, hopefully Daniels will do something else and I'll get to do it with them. And then
that's what I was thinking.
And then I will have another experience like that.
I mean, something tells me that A24 is kind of pushing them to do another movie after this.
I mean, I know they signed a deal with Universal, so
really?
Yeah, they signed like I think a 5-year deal or something with Universal.
Good for them.
Yeah, so hopefully. I don't know. I mean, and they
might get more than 8 weeks to shoot these projects then too.
I mean, there must be so much pressure too, though. I can't imagine. Like even like for me, I'm like, God, if they do another movie, like I better start pulling images now. Like, what am I gonna have to do on their next one?
Well, if this one was any indication, apparently not. Apparently, the way to go is just on the day.
Yeah, right.
Let's throw something up there.
There is something really beautiful about like just like not overthinking it. I think like as an artist, like I mean I was a painter for I studied art in school and like I remember with paintings like there is a moment where you go too far.
Right.
Like I think that's like the beauty. Like I love indie films and I think there is something really beautiful about indie films that like you don't have the time to overwork it and you don't have the money to overwork it.
Right.
Like it's just
constraints.
You never hit that spot where like you've gone too far. Like I remember like doing paintings and like working and then at one point I'm like, oh, it was better like 2 days ago.
You-
Like, it should have just stopped.
You don't
Like,
know when
no,
to
I think
stop. Yeah.
knowing
Yeah.
when to stop, I think, is like such a
Yeah.
huge part of being an artist.
Part
Yeah.
of that skill set.
Because I think any artist will work until
Tinker,
somebody
tinker.
tells them
Yeah.
they have to stop,
Yeah.
Right.
right? Until
Well,
you have
the
a
old
deadline.
adage on movie making too is like that a movie's never finished, it's only abandoned.
Exactly.
Only left. Yeah.
So,
Left in the, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that like that was one of the nicest things about Everything Everywhere is like we didn't have time to like tinker till it was like overworked. It was just do it
Yeah.
until you know, and then we have to shoot it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. You got the AD's tapping his watch right now or whatever.
Exactly.
So do you think that this is going to be another renaissance like the, I guess, the 90s or the 70s where we're starting to see those mid-budget, cool, independent films starting to become,
gosh,
bigger?
I hope
Yeah.
Oh my God, I know. You just saying that, like, it's like this wave of nostalgia. I'm like, oh my God, please.
Yeah, I think
I
it's
mean,
it's time, right?
It is time. I mean, I think there has been like people are going back to the movies, I feel like.
I think so too.
I really
Once
hope
it
that's
got taken away
staying.
from us, I think we realized how
We
much
were
we
like,
missed
oh
it.
my God, yeah. I mean, I didn't grow up like loving movies like all these people, but like I love going to the movies. And everyone
Same.
knows like when I wrap early on a show, sometimes I'm like, oh, it's early, like I should go see a movie. Like it's there's something so
Well,
like
especially if you have to drive an hour and a half from Fox. Maybe
exactly.
you can stay on the west
Yeah.
side for a little bit. Yeah.
No, but there's something so nice about like having to turn your phone off and like just sitting in a room with a bunch of people
Yeah.
experiencing something together.
There's energy. There's that shared experience that you get. The comedies usually hits
Yeah,
harder,
but,
or
like,
the horror hits harder.
yeah,
Yeah.
Totally. Like
Yeah.
seeing, yes. Like seeing it
The
in
waterworks
theater.
turn on more for
Oh,
a movie
yeah.
like this.
Oh my God.
You
when
hear
I
someone
was-
sniffle and you kind of lose it yourself. You know?
when I went to South by, we went and saw Marcel because Daniel Kwan's wife actually worked on Marcel the Shell. And
Jenny Slate, right? Or-
Yeah, who
or
also was in
it's
this
a Jenny
movie.
Slate
Yeah.
film, right?
Jenny
Yeah.
Slate. Yeah.
That looks like a fun little film.
Oh my God, it's so good. So I went to the screening at South by and I was just sobbing into my mouth,
Yeah.
but I could hear sniffles like all around the theater. And it like, I was like,
Oh, yeah.
it's like we're all
Chain
crying
reaction.
together. Yeah. Like just, the experience of going to the movies is just so fun. And I'm so glad, like, with Everything Everywhere, they were like, you have to see it. Like, it's one of those that you have to see in the theater. And it's so great because they re-released it like twice, I think.
Isn't
Yeah.
there another time now? Or
I
again,
think
just
it's out right
just
now,
recently,
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just re-released it again in the theater. And it's so like, yeah, I just hope people go to the movies again. I love it so much.
It sounds like they're going to see this one. This has made quite a bundle of money.
Yeah. Oh, I know, it's crazy.
Good for them,
So
yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Good for you, I should say.
Yeah.
Well, I don't get any of that money.
Yeah.
No, it's-
Yeah, but I was going to ask though.
No,
I mean, I'm
it's-
sure after something like this, you're not going to be, without some work coming up. So I'm sure that
it's
this is.
been really great because like now people have actually like seen things, because
Mhm.
I love indie films, but you do things and nobody ever sees them. So and
No
that's
distribution, right? Like at least like this.
Yeah, right. Well, and especially being able to see it in the theater. Like
Right.
I've done so many movies that just go straight to DVD,
Streaming or
stuff.
digital or-
yeah. God, I sound so old. Straight to DVD. No, straight
I
to
say the same.
streaming.
I say the same thing. I do that all the time. It's going to video.
Right. It's like, wait, we don't do that anymore.
Well, yeah, I mean, even a couple years ago, you could still say it because there'd be like straight
Yeah.
to Redbox was straight
Right,
to DVD.
yeah, it was still a
so there you
physical-
go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, it's so crazy. Yeah, it's straight to streaming, I guess. So it's nice to see things in the theater. But the Daniels
Yeah.
do say, he did say, Daniel Kwan said, if you're not going to see Everything Everywhere in the theater, you should see it on a plane because the altitude affects your emotions, apparently. So
I
you'll
see.
cry more watching it.
Oh, I don't know if I could do that. I cried so much during this movie.
I know. I cried so much. I've seen it, gosh, like 3 times, and I cry at a different time every time I watch it now.
So we have to cut this podcast and we add sound bites, and I had to kind of
Yeah,
scrub
yeah.
through the movie cutting this one, and I was just like sitting there ended up watching scenes. It took me
Hearing some of
longer.
the scenes, like it makes you cry. The first time, because I hadn't seen it. South by was the first time I saw it, and
Mhm.
the rocks killed me.
Oh God,
Like,
yes.
I was sobbing.
Especially when they go over the side and
I know.
and they end up walking. They shouldn't be moving, but they ended up figuring that out. Like,
And
strong.
after the movie, I remember Dana Cohen was like, "What was your favorite part?" I'm like, "Of course, the part that I had nothing to do with was my favorite
Yeah, you did the
part
makeup
of
on the rocks,
whole movie.
right?
I didn't do anything.
No
I
googly
wasn't
eyes?
even there for that. I didn't even get to witness it in person.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they went and shot that with, and I'm like, of course that's my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah.
It's the one that I had nothing to do with.
Yeah.
Welcome to filmmaking.
Right, exactly.
You know why I actually built the bagel? It wasn't to destroy everything. It was to destroy myself. At least this way, I don't have to do it alone.
I have this wonderful ability to forget everything as soon as the camera drops.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so this is a funny story, because when Everything Everywhere, like all the press started,
Yeah.
I had to go back and like look at like my notes and pictures and stuff, because I had forgotten everything. Like, once a thing is wrapped, I'm like, yeah, forget everything. Bye. Like, moving
On to the next one. Yeah,
project.
exactly.
Yeah. So I forget people. I forget like everything. It's so bad. I think it's like a coping mechanism.
yeah.
Like, because Drew, my husband, he'll like make fun of me because I'll work on something and hate it the whole time.
I see.
And then it'll get picked up for another season. And I'll be like, oh my God, it's so good. Exciting to go to second season. He's like, you hated that job. And I'm like, I did? I think it's like childbirth.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
it's
listen,
literally
Right,
childbirth.
right.
both of you guys
Yeah.
have a certain amnesia for certain things. Like, Drew always talks about how bad his memory is, and I'm like, but he seems to remember everything you do. So there you go.
I literally think it's childbirth. Where
Yeah.
like your body makes you forget, so you want to do it again.
Yeah.
And that's like the joy of filmmaking.
It's kind of like shock,
exactly.
right?
Like,
It
well, 'cause
blocks those things.
You like part of the reason it's so painful is because you care so much.
Yeah,
and then,
exactly.
You're trying to
Totally.
get it, and like it's an art and it's a craft and
Yeah.
and then yeah, it's like we're all sort of sadly addicted to it, and
I know. And you just want to do it again.
Yeah.
Like, every time I wrap a movie, I'm like, ugh, I just want to sleep for like when can I retire? Can I retire now?
So how
And
long is it
then-
between projects that you want to get back on one then?
Probably like 2 weeks.
Oh, okay,
Like,
so I mean,
It's fast.
yeah, that's fast.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, but Drew will tell you, I also like, I'm a workaholic. Like, I love to work. So
Yeah.
like, I do love being a part of the whole process. Like, it's so fun to like be a part of everything, especially like, those moments when like you walk onto like a lot and it's like, it's so magical.
The lot is so magical, totally. I mean,
Yeah,
Brian and
like-
I used to work on the Culver lot,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's just like even when you're not doing anything or there's
Just
like
walking
nothing going on, just walking
around.
around, like, oh my god,
It's
like,
so
it's just
cool.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember like the first time I worked at Paramount, like I
Yeah,
walked
yeah.
up to those gates and I was like, this is
Yeah.
so cool. Like, these are the gates. Like, I've seen these in so
Yeah.
many movies. Like,
I
and old
interned for an asshole
movies.
on that lot once, but it
Yeah.
was like, even though it was awful, like just being at the back lot was
Yeah,
so cool.
there's just moments when you like walk onto a set and it's
Yeah.
like, it's so magical. And then you forget how like awful it is. in
Grueling
hotels
and- yeah,
all the
yeah,
time.
yeah. Stressed
But
out,
that was,
yeah.
I mean, even with Everything Everywhere, like we were exhausted. Like, we were working
I
long
bet.
days and it was so much work and it was hard. I mean, for us, like the makeup department, it was just me and one other person for almost the whole time.
Holy
It was
shit.
just
Holy
two of us
shit.
for the whole- yeah, and one hair person and or two hair people. So it's just the four of us doing everything. So like, there's all these like wonderful memories, but also I'm like, oh my God, that was so hard. Like, we wanted to die.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like us crying at Key's speech was partially because we were so tired.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Exhaustion
like
took over.
You just get
Well,
emotional.
I mean, I was thinking like, okay, maybe like on set you would have that thought like, oh, maybe it's just because I'm stressed out and things are nuts and whatever. But then
Yeah.
you see it on screen, you're
Well,
like, oh
but
no,
then you
it
watch
actually
and I
was really
cried.
good.
No,
It
yeah.
really was
Like, I
touching.
definitely cried watching the movie.
Yeah. That's funny.
I've seen thousands of Evelyns, but never an Evelyn like you. You're living your worst you.
I can't be the worst. What about the hot dog one?
So earlier we brought up some mutual friends that we had. They were, well, first of all, So Matt and Kyle saw that we were doing an episode on Everything Everywhere, and we're like, "Oh, I hope you got Michelle to come on." I was like, "Well, Michelle Yeoh turned us down. Sorry, we asked, but she was too busy."
Surprisingly,
yeah. But anyway, yeah. So I'm so glad we actually got you on here.
We got another Michelle.
Yeah, we got, yeah, and they had a question for you. So are you ready for this?
Oh no!
They want to know who your favorite directing duo is.
Oh.
And I was like, guys, I don't think you want to hear the answer to that.
Yeah, there's so many good duos.
Yeah, that's a good answer. There you go.
Favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Anyway.
boy, that's amazing.
Well, anyway, they said hi. So.
Oh, yeah, I love those guys.
Absolutely.
So anything that's coming up that we should know about or that you can talk about? I'm sure a lot of it's pretty secret, right?
Gosh, I did a couple indie films last year, but I don't know what's happening with, as people, we just never know what's happening. So
Just keep your eyes peeled.
Keep your eyes peeled. Yeah. I am doing a show right now. It should be on Hulu sometime in the near future called Interior Chinatown, which is really great. It's based on a book. So we're shooting right now, so I don't know when that's gonna, but I think it's gonna be a good one. So
awesome.
I'm excited about that.
Is it like a limited series, or are they starting off as
I don't think I'm not sure. They're talking about if we get season 2. So
I see. Yeah.
Yeah, but
cool.
It's great. It's with another Asian cast, so I've been really lucky with being able to work with some of my people.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, I think Everything Everywhere really was such an eye-opening experience for me to work with a full Asian cast,
Exactly. I mean, or very very nearly full Asian cast.
Oh yeah. Well, what did James Hong say in his speech? He said, Jamie Lee has a good. At least she has a good Asian name.
Yeah.
Which I thought was so funny. I mean,
really
also
funny.
being able to work with him was like.
Yeah. My God. He's in his 90s, right?
His credits are
Yeah.
I think he's done 600 movies.
Yeah.
Something ridiculous.
Something insane.
Yeah, 70 years in the business, I believe.
He's done more movies than than Dick Miller. I mean, it's it's
when
wild.
He was giving they brought him up for his speech at the SAG Awards, and he was naming people he'd worked with, and it was like, wait,
Clark Gable.
What? Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
That was insane. I was like, oh my God. He was great too. He had very specific ideas too, about his character, which was really fun. I mean,
I bet after 500 other movies, I bet he did.
Right?
All I can contribute to that was I watched Big Trouble in Little China back in the day, and he was David Lopan. He's had these amazing roles.
Was great. You know what he did? There was a day, I think it was his last day of shooting, maybe. He brought all these headshots with him. And signed one for everybody of himself as different characters.
Oh, crazy.
And you could pick which one you wanted, and he signed one for the whole crew.
Oh my God.
That's awesome.
So I have an autographed picture of him from I think it's from Big Trouble in Little China.
Really? Oh my God.
Yeah, because he just and he'd sign one to every single crew member. He was
wow.
We had dance parties in the makeup room with him.
Really?
Yeah. And then when he gave us each, I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize how old he was. He's so spry.
Yes.
Literally,
So do you have any insights into his secret on how to stay so youthful?
I have no idea. I mean, I guess just enjoy life. He seems to just have a great time on everything. So I think that
and he's appreciative.
Yeah.
He's the real life Wayman character.
Yeah,
I think he really he's so happy to be working, I think.
Yeah.
He's not Gong Gong. He's Wayman.
No,
Yeah.
he's not Gong Gong at all.
Right.
He is not cranky. He really loved being there.
That's awesome.
So maybe that's a secret. Enjoy life a little bit more.
Yeah.
Our patriarch, our friend, our Gong Gong, James Hong.
My first movie was with Clark Gable.
Woo!
But back in those days, the producer said the Asians were not good enough and they are not box office. But look at us now, huh? So I hope I will come back when I'm 100 years old.
Michelle, thank you so much for coming out and doing this.
This was so fun.
We'd love to have you back, and maybe we'll do some 90s indie movies
Oh my God,
sometime.
I would love that. That would be so fun.
We'll make you watch some movies this time. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you said you're not much of a movie fan, but if there's 3 you could put together.
I'm a huge movie fan. I just don't, I don't know, like,
It's not like film
I'm not
theory.
like a film theory
yeah.
kind of person.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So,
Totally fine.
I don't know like the history of everything.
Well, no,
Yeah.
if there's, we usually put 3 movies together, kind of like how a film trio would be, or like a triple feature would be at a festival. But we like to connect them somehow or find ways that they connect. So if you've got any ideas, we'd love to have you back. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to do that. I mean, I do love talking about movies. It's just I haven't seen as many as everyone. Yeah, but 90s would be, I'm like, I love the 90s. I love the 80s. John Hughes films are like a big.
That'd be a good block.
Perfect. Yeah.
Or like horror films. I love horror films.
I would not argue at all.
Great. More horror.
Jared.
I do love a good scare. So.
Cool. Yeah.
Let's do it.
We'd definitely love to have you back. And
Awesome,
thanks
that was so
thanks for
fun.
being such a good sport on
thanks for
having this
having
interview.
me. This was so
Yeah.
fun.
All right. Thank you so much for listening. Please make sure to subscribe and follow us on all the podcasts and social platforms of the Grindhouse Institute. And if you really want to give us a boost, check us out on Apple Podcasts and leave us a rating and review. It helps us to get noticed. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll be back next week.
Ciao.
Follow these instructions. But remember, no one can know. Don't even talk to me about this because I won't remember.
But I don't...
Talk to you soon.